Feels strangely heavy. Interesting. Oh, never mind. Oh. It's been a slow week. You join me for my first training session post-marathon, and as you'd expect, Achilles has had an arrow through it, and unfortunately I don't yet look like Brad Pitt either. Legs are questionable, and my mood, energy, general cognitive ability are all in the toilet. But time shall fix all of those things, and today I'm going to break down the framework that I use to best manage my training after a big event, having had lots of experiences of dealing with the post-event blues, post-event come down, and making sure that you can effectively manage lifting and running year-round without big events railroading your progress and putting you in that slump. So stick around, because we're going to talk through all of the things that you can do to do the exact same. One of the key things to remember is recovery from a big endurance event, whether it's a marathon or otherwise, doesn't mean that you need to stop lifting. In fact, I believe it's the best time to focus on a little bit of a rebuild and get a little bit more comfortable with what you've probably deprioritized a little bit with your endurance prep. And whilst yes, of course, you're going to be exhausted from your big, intimidating endurance event, that is no reason to not slowly but surely get back into some lifting to get some blood flowing, some range of motion, some weighted stretching, and to not fall into the trap that most people make, which is getting back to running too quickly. And that leads me into my first point, which is the importance of rest and recovery. Oh goodness, Fergus, you sound like my mother. Yes, I do, and that's for good reason, because it's very important to just decompress. Let your body recover, let your mind recover, and allocate time to not doing very much. Your body needs it, your mind needs it, you need to process your thoughts, you need to process your feelings, you need to process your emotions, and the lessons of what has essentially been a learning process. So try to get your sleep structure nailed, try to make sure you factored in some downtime, maybe some social time that you've put on the back burner for a while, and probably do a little bit more of what I'm doing here, which is spending as much time horizontal as you can. So the second thing to consider is that you can, and probably should, start reintroducing strength work slowly but surely. If you keep things to sort of RPE 7, sets of 12, pump work, for want of a better phrase, then you're going to be able to get a good range of motion, some good blood flow, some movement, some endorphins, all of the things that you're likely missing because you've gone from a big prep to the peak of the mountain and then you come crashing down. And we'll talk about the psychological effects of that a little bit more in a second. But physically speaking, you do need to allocate your time some rest. You've peaked for it, you've therefore done the thing, so you need to have a little bit of a recharge before you start rebuilding to the more higher impact demanding stuff. So for me today, I have hit an RP 7 double at 120 kilos just to get the bar moving. I am now going to hit some back offsets at RP 7 on bench press, and this is my first session since. Is it going to make me stronger? Probably not. Is it going to allow me to feel like I'm a person that trains again? Yes. Is it going to help me remember what the movements feel like? Yes. Is it going to give me a bit of a buzz, increase my overall vibe, and move me slowly but surely towards a recovered state? Also, yes. 4 sets of 8 for me today on bench, and I'll make my assistance exercise up as I go, because I think it's very important to go with the flow a little bit in the first week or two after a big event. Strength work, you can go in and rekindle some love for some awkward machines, some different movements, and just get your body moving without too much impact, without getting out there, without upsetting your Achilles if you're anything like me right now. And the most important thing is you're grooving the movement patterns and you're getting the momentum building so that you can continue to balance strength and endurance training. If you go straight back into full send mode from the off, then you're likely going to find yourself burning out, overly fatigued, and dealing with unpredictable day to day in terms of what weights you can put on the bar, what feels good, what doesn't, because you haven't yet fully recovered. But it's important as well to remind yourself that you don't always need to send at every session. Just doing some speed work, just reminding yourself what the motor patterns feel like is going to benefit your strength an enormous amount than not doing anything at all, especially if you have dropped off your strength focus whilst peaking for an event. If strength training is important to you, it's a case of use it or lose it. If you're watching this and you're primarily endurance focused, then you can ignore some of the specifics that I've ran through just there, but most of what I've said is still valid, whereby whilst your lower body is beaten up, it might be a great opportunity to get in and improve your proficiency with movements like the bench press or the machines. Something that just gets your body moving without fatigue-inducing impact or demand on your body that you're currently trying to let dissipate and recover from. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you'll know that I've been wearing a Whoop for over 2 years, and the golden question is, what was my recovery score the day after the marathon? Well, my friends, it was a crisp 33%, which could have been a lot worse. But my HRV was all out of whack, my resting heart rate was all out of whack, my respiratory rate was all out of whack, which is one I keep a close eye on as a result of my asthma, and my sleep performance was actually 84%, which isn't bad, so I'll take that. And I think that's the thing to focus on, is that I use this device primarily to keep an eye on my sleep, to track my habits, and to track the data that is a result of those habits over a week by week, month by month, I guess year by year at this point basis, so that I can make informed decisions on how to make the most of my day-to-day, what works best for me in terms of recovery, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of performance, and the habits that I want to implement, and the habits that actually maybe don't serve me. And I'd actually like to make the argument that this big 50-kilo concrete ball and this device here have a lot more in common than you might think, because the concrete that makes said large concrete ball is only useful when turned into something, in the same way that the data that is provided to you on here from this is only useful when applied to something. You can't just put one of these on, review the data and go, wow, my life has improved. You need to take action and implement habits that are going to improve your day-to-day, and that takes time. This thing is not gospel. This thing is entirely all concrete, actually. But I think my analogy has ran out of steam here. But nonetheless, if you would like to give Whoop a go and have access to data that you can review and make actionable changes in your own day-to-day life, then you can use the link in the description down below to get your first month free and to support the channel in doing so that I can get 2 large concrete testicles. Okay, so the next thing to consider is, in my mind, the most important one, and one that's very important to me as I've got it wrong in the past, and that is acknowledging that you are going to experience a psychological downturn. The way you interact with the come down of a big event might be different to myself, it might be different to another viewer, it might be different to Ed, who's holding the camera right now, but we all need to ride that wave. We need to take some time to reflect, learn from the process, and acknowledge that we've become familiar with training for this event and our day-to-day has looked a certain way, and then it's done. So there's no reason for our day-to-day to look like that anymore, but that's what's felt familiar. So if you're anything like me, you can often find yourself punishing yourself for not working hard enough or not maybe hustling and grinding enough, because that's what feels familiar to you, but you've earned the right and need the time to take that rest and recovery. So as I mentioned, that's why it's really important to go with the flow, take the time to reflect, learn, unpack things, and do things that you haven't done for a while. For me, that's things like playing golf, it's having pints with my friends, it's going on long walks with the dogs at the weekend, rather than little ones around my training. It's a great opportunity to maybe get up into the hills, it's a great opportunity to be able to do some trail running, really short distance stuff, or if you're an idiot like I am, it's a great opportunity to make use of the mini ramp that you built in your gym. TLDR, take care of your mind as much as you take care of your body, because it's always a challenging process to unpack. I've made the mistake in the past and it's been quite damaging to my own mental well-being. So take it seriously, talk to your friends, talk to your family, understand your emotions, understand what you've taken from the experience of training for something, and most importantly, what you want to do next with that. What have you learned? Apply it, move forwards, and you're a better person. In my opinion, the whole point of doing these things and training for self-driven, self-motivated goals in the first place. The next point to consider is the importance of taking this time to review your training. What have you enjoyed? What have you not enjoyed? What are your goals? What is exciting to you? What is making you curious and excited to get out of bed in the morning? Build a plan around that and then build up slowly but surely, week by week. Don't start from the top of the pyramid in week 2 of your recovery process, because that is back to front. I am keeping things nice and light this week. I will keep things nice and light next week, and then I will slowly periodize and build upwards with all of my training from there. Whether that's my running mileage, whether that's my swimming volume, whether that's my biking volume, whether it was my lifting intensity or volume, things will move up slowly but surely, and I will adapt and understand the implications of the fatigue as I go. Ego is the enemy. Make a plan, build ring of the ladder at a time, step by step towards your next goal. And you know what? If you just want to take some time to enjoy training for the sake of training, that's great. But don't then go and do 2 WODs every single morning and evening and nuke yourself by just beating yourself up and working yourself into the ground and then wondering why you feel destroyed and completely under-recovered from your event, because you're probably grossly under-recovered from your event. So review your training, don't be an idiot, and build up step by step rather than going all in from the off, because it won't get you anywhere, and you'll probably then fall into the silly camp that you can find on Reddit going, oh, lifting and running will kill your gains. No, you're just training too much or under-recovered. Goodbye. To anyone that's on Reddit, I don't mean any general offence, I just mean general offence to the people that think running will kill your gains. Unless you're trying to be Usain Bolt or the best in the world at running, you can absolutely lift and run. The next thing to consider is the importance of adventure. And I don't mean to sound flippant, but there is no better time to play around. And at the end of the day, all we're really doing is adult PE. So if you're not playing around, if you're not having fun with it, which is the cringiest thing I've ever said on this YouTube channel, then I think you're doing it wrong. So whilst you're recovering, there might be a few things that you've not gotten to in a while. Good example here for me is I've not been riding my bike as much because I've been so running specific. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get out on this bad boy and I'm going to take this thing and go like that. Because I'm not riding for performance metrics, I am riding for enjoyment, regeneration, recovery, and a sense of adventure. So I think the overarching point here is to make sure that you use the opportunity and the downtime to do some of the things that you might have not done or sacrificed or put to the side that you know are intrinsically valuable, rewarding, good for you psychologically, because getting a little bit of a dosage of them is going to be the best thing to sort of tee you up to then move into your next big goal. Because I'm a huge fan of goal setting, I'm a huge fan of moving from one big thing to the next thing, but sensibly and sustainably, and athletically, professionally, entrepreneurially, parentally, god damn it, that was actually a word. You want to be able to move through things sustainably, because the best version of all of those things is the one that's most sustainable. You don't want peaks and troughs, you want a steady sort of undulation, and the best way to do that is to listen to your head, listen to your body, work with it rather than against it. So try and create a sense of adventure, whether it's, like I've said, getting up in the hills, dicking around on a skateboard, or simply just doing something you haven't done for a while without any performance metrics, to take your mind away from that mindset that you've been in that is all in, all the time, day to day, everything or nothing. So with all that said and done, I think it's probably worth addressing the fact that I've stayed in the base layer the whole time, and that is because it's October in Scotland, and when we have the heating on in the office through there, it spits cold air out here into the warehouse. But that's not particularly relevant to the video, I just thought I would address it. What is particularly relevant to the video is essentially a summary, which is that you should take these periods seriously. I've got it wrong in the past. I'd love it if you didn't get it wrong. If anyone does have any insights that they want to share in the comments down below on how they've got it wrong or how they've got it right, the things that they like to do, because it is very important to try and manage these situations carefully so that you can make the most of bouncing back to effectively balance lifting and running moving forwards. So if you have enjoyed that video, please drop it a like, comment down below with any insights or suggestions or questions, and make sure that you've hit subscribe as well whilst you're there. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.